We are at 608 Fifth Avenue to visit one of my favorite dealers in New York City. Let's go on and take a look. For our long-standing viewers of the channel, you might recognize the gentleman sitting across from me. If you do not, he's one of my favorite people to come visit while I'm in New York City. He is Gai Gohari of Classic 55 LLC on Instagram, Murillo 55. I got it right this video. Gai has a very unique taste and place in the vintage watch world as a specialist in some of the most unique, rare, and quirky, cool vintage watches out there, where most guys like Sacha and I stick to bread and butter Rolex, Patek, sports models, etc. We dip our toes into these kind of watches. He swims in the deep end on them, so I love coming to visit him and see what he has in store. I'm looking at a tray of PIAGETs. He also just hosted an event for PIAGET. I think it was like relaunching of the Polo.
It was to celebrate their 150th anniversary and take a look at
this
some
guy
new and
to
old
host the event.
watches.
Yeah. Let's start, I guess, by picking out your favorite three in there, telling us a little bit about them.
All right, let me pick this pavé diamond or Hawkeye diamond.
Wait, hold on.
No cheating.
No, hold on. I got a quick detour. What is this on your wrist?
This is my personal watch. VACHERON Constantin in white gold with the opal dial.
That is
automatic.
Opal dial's crazy.
There's so few brands that do an opal dial or did an opal dial.
Opal dial.
Right. I have to imagine that it was like a difficult stone to work with.
Yes, easily breakable.
Yeah, I mean Vacheron, I think Piaget did some, AP maybe. Wow, what a watch, man.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I was just showing my wife this morning and she said, it's a keeper, right? I said, yes, of course it's a keeper. Can't find anything else like this ever. So I bought it a few years ago.
Right.
Plus every stone is kind of unique, so.
Yes.
That's the thing. I think that's the best part about stone dials in general, like broad strokes, is that every cut is different. And so every dial is going to be unique, not just the way they age, but just the actual stone itself. So for people who are like daring to be different and having something unique to themselves, stone dial is a great option, whether it be a date just, date, Piaget, doesn't matter. Any stone dial. This is, wow, what stone is this right here?
That one is Hawkeye, which has that like electrifying blue effect.
Wow.
And you have the pavé diamond set.
But it's like multiple pieces, right?
Yes, like a frame.
Like a
marquetry, yes.
Yeah, marquetry frame.
So tell us about this. What age is this from? Like what?
This is a
line Piaget is it?
1970s Piaget manual wind with the beautiful braided bracelet. What I love about Piaget is the bracelet finishing that is irreplaceable today. Even if they tried in any way or shape form, they cannot reverse engineer. I think we said it last time too. And here you have a braided bracelet, which is like made like fabric and super flexible. Of course, the diamond setting within the stone dial takes some craft and skill. So these things you can't see today.
Yeah, is that something that they would have made themselves, or is that something that they would have had like
A case maker, bracelet.
As opposed to the other Swiss brands, Patek, Vacheron, AUDEMARS, that would contract case maker, dial makers, lapidaries, etc. Piaget would do everything in-house. Their craftsmen are jewelry, skilled craftsmen, and they have watchmakers from A to Z. It's all in-house. From movement to case to bracelet to dial, it is all in-house. And that's what I love about them. Nobody does it like they do.
I have a question for you, because this was a 1970s watch. I'm assuming you're dating it from the serial. Is there like a database that one could access? Like,
No.
how do people understand the range? Because I know with like Rolex, there's databases that list people put together. Patek, you can order an archive. How do you find that information from people?
There's no such a system at the moment. You just base it on your experience, on the pieces you see, ads, you know, catalogs, etc. You just eyeball it like that.
Right.
I'm good at eyeballing. This, I would say, late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've sold enough of them to kind of have a good gauge.
because the Piaget logo didn't change as much as like Vacheron or Audemars Piguet or Patek Philippe.
No, they always had that big P and a big T at the end. And it's like a classic logo. You see different nuances, you know, within the dials. Maybe they have a Swiss at the bottom, maybe they don't have, maybe they say automatic quartz, different little things, but more or less it's quite consistent.
How are they in terms of like helping you understand more about your vintage watch?
They don't have that service as far as archives and information, but a lot of people that work in the company are accessible and available to answer questions. I don't tend to bother them. I just, based it on my own experience.
Yeah, I mean, they're having their moment right now, especially with the relaunch of the Polo and a lot of revitalized interest in their watches.
Yes.
I think they got to be happy about that.
They're ecstatic.
Yeah, so I think
as they say, it's their moment and it's my moment too.
There you go. As an ambassador of the brand.
Yeah, one more quick question. For years, it was very, very difficult to sell integrated bracelets because they're kind of like sized to, there's 3 adjustments at the buckle usually, but
Or none.
Or none, but it's a very small range. It's like buying a ring, like it's going to be that size.
Yes.
And you don't really want to cut or things,
Yes.
but have people just become more open-minded?
This is where hopefully a new breed of collector is coming in, where he's not concerned about selling the watch and value. He wants to buy the watch for his own personal enjoyment and style, and he's gonna circumcise the watch to his size and move on with his life and enjoy it. And if he will have to sell it, well, c'est la vie, And these watches are like, I sell them like they're jackets. Size this, size that. It fits you, good. It doesn't fit you, another watch, So you have to find the watch that is within your size.
But you don't do alterations.
I try to avoid the alteration process because, of course, it's not
Using
simple.
your metaphor.
But slowly, we're garnering experience within the sizing, etc. But yeah, you better find the one that fits you.
Yeah. We were talking about this yesterday with Phil Toledano because he has a lot of integrated bracelet watches, and he had one where a buckle was extended for him.
Yes.
And he has the right person for it. In that, it's becoming easier for people to buy integrated bracelet watches because there are people out there that can help you either make the bracelet longer or cut it shorter and save part of the bracelet to reattach later. It's becoming more mainstream in the sense that people aren't as scared by it or like such a daunting process,
I hope. For example, I bought this watch that I was showing you before. It was perfect size for me, so I had to keep it. If
so that
it
was
was bigger, I would sell it. But yeah, it's easy. You have to find the one that fits. You like it, you keep it. Otherwise, next bride.
Right. So what else we got here?
I wanted to show you this one with the crazy bull's head shape and the diamond set. I love the large size, but what I wanted to bring to your attention is the finishing of the bracelet with this hammer texture.
It's like a Morellis finish.
Yeah, if you go to the Piaget boutique, they made me notice that their wallpapers and all their finishing of the furniture mimics all the different textures of the bracelet. So in the boutique, they had the wallpaper exactly like this. The handle of the cases to open was like the Piaget Polo. So each one, they pay great attention to detail.
The Gudruns?
The Gudruns, so-called. So I love that they really cherish their history and keep their heritage alive like that.
Yeah, I think no one used the word Kajruns more than when they relaunched the Polo.
No,
it was in
like
every article, everybody keeps Kajruns, like, all right, enough. It's a new word, we get it.
Check this one out. See, it's all about the shapes and the colors and the unicity of each watch.
Yeah.
Is there a name for these finishings?
Florentine, hammered, Morelli.
Right.
Okay.
And I can't imagine the process to finish these bracelets was easy by any stretch of the imagination. Probably why they don't do it as much today, because it's all done by hand.
Yes, takes great craft and skill.
It takes time.
Yes.
It's a lot of time.
What sets the brand apart today is incredible craftsmanship and at the same time incredible value, because they're not $50,000 watches. Right. They're all more or less below $15,000.
So yeah, what are you asking for all 3 of these watches, broad strokes? Because we get that comment all the time. You never talk about prices. Well, because it's about the watches.
I'm asking, for example...
We'll indulge you for this time.
Check
we'll
white gold watch, mechanical with the diamond pavé dial, $9,000.
Wow. I would have assumed over 10.
This one is $13,000 in white gold with the lapis dial, mechanical movement. Nice weight to it.
I'm coming around. I think you are right in terms of the value.
The value is incredible.
I can only imagine what the retail price was on this, because it was also coming from Piaget. Like as a jewelry watch. In precious metal.
Piaget in the 80s was like having a Patek Philippe Nautilus today. It was the watch.
It's like a Van Cleef and Arpels for jewelry. Yeah.
When I started 11 years ago, and I used to focus a lot on Audemars Piguet, Royal Oak, blah, blah, blah. So I used to show, old-timer people, this is Audemars Piguet. They would say, what is it, a Piaget? I know Piaget. No, it's Audemars Piguet. It's not a Piaget. Like, in their mind, of the people from the 80s and 70s, Piaget is the watch.
Right.
And then it helped create this situation that in the 90s and 2000s up to now, nobody wanted them. A lot of them were melted,
Right.
making so great value and rarer watches.
Right. Well, I think the trend started moving towards sports watches and bigger watches
Yes.
and different design. You know,
Totally.
this design kind of cue was out of style, and now it's coming back in. All this stuff is cyclical. You know,
Yes.
While sports models are not as popular right now, and people are looking for stuff like this, you know, I'm sure we're going to go back to in 5 years, everybody's crazy again for the Royal Oak and Nautilus, and then it'll keep shifting over and over until time
I
ends,
feel
you know?
so too. It's all
So-
cycles.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about watches and collecting, you know, is that I know the three of us sitting at this table, our tastes are more or less pretty different, you know, in terms of what we personally collect, you know. Sure, there's some crossover, but, you know, I have a Movado M90 chronograph that I know neither of you have or would own for yourself. You buy it for stock maybe, but not to keep in your collection. You know, you have certain watches that are, you know, your 222 with diamonds, for example. I love that watch, but I would never own it for myself. It's just a little too much bling for me. And everything you wear, I think are awesome and interesting, and that's why we're sitting here. But I don't know that I know them for myself, but I certainly appreciate them. And that's what's great. It's all subjective. And
I love it.
Everybody can choose their own path, so to say. There's no wrong answers. So tell us a couple, let's go through a couple more Piagets, and then let's move over to
I want
this
to
box
show
in
you
front of me.
these 3 new Piagets that I got in.
Okay.
On the strap, now we just looked at things with the bracelet. On the strap is also where Piaget performs best with the crazy cases. Look at this hexagonal one, the bamboo for Van Cleef & Arpels, and the classic tank with the lapis dial.
So I immediately, my eyes were drawn to this one. First of all, you said Van Cleef, and that's awesome that Piaget collaborated with,
Yes.
with Van Cleef and Arpels.
Piaget collaborated with also Cartier.
Interesting.
So it's, and other jewelry brands too, like Fred.
Some Cartiers have Piaget.
Yes, I have one.
So this is a bamboo style case, very similar to Cartier that you own for yourself. I wonder if the case makers were similar or they just took design cues from each other.
Mine's a misnomer. That's an actual bamboo style collection.
Right.
Mine's actually a Cousin that they call it bamboo.
Right.
Yes, it's a Cousin.
Okay. And so how do the prices on the strap models compare to the integrated bracelets? I'm assuming they're cheaper.
Yes, of course, not having the whole weight of the gold, they're all below 6,000.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, you can buy a beautiful dress watch for below 6,000 with a stone dial or a crazy shaped case. I love it.
Yeah, I think
and then whenever you're tired, right, the collector is tired in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, no problem. You have another right to go because
Right.
the value is there.
Yeah, and your entry point, your entry cost is not so crazy that like even if you lost, God forbid, 25, 50%, you know, it's not as if you bought 5711
Yes.
peak for $200,000 and now they're 50% less and you're losing 100,000. Your entry point is so much cheaper that it's like you could try out a bunch of different things, and even if you sell and you lose a little bit of money, you got to enjoy it and you figure out what you like at a much lower cost, you know, to figure that out versus
Yes.
buying a much more expensive watch and then losing a ton of money when you realize you don't like it.
All these watches are what you say in Italian a sfizio, like you have a itch, you're itching for the watch you buy, like you're buying a sweater or a jacket. It's not like a lifetime investment. It's
Right.
something to wear for fun.
Okay. Speaking of fun, what is that sitting in front of you?
This is a
What is that?
freaking crazy watch I picked up in Las Vegas. It's a CORUM.
It looks like something you would buy in Las Vegas.
Yes. So
Something that was won on a
sister
poker
brand-
table.
The golden nugget.
Sister brand to Piaget would be CORUM, which in the heyday was doing similar things with the stone dials and crazy shaped bracelets. So I love to deal with them here.
But this is even cooler than a stone dial.
Yes, it's a peacock
Peacock.
feather.
Peacock feather dial.
So I have a question for you. When you're buying something like this, what is your thought process? Like kind of like weighing it and then deciding how much more than gold you want to pay? Like how much you think it's worth over the actual gold value of the watch?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where you have always that base point that you can like put it on the scale and
At least know how much it weighs.
at least know how
sheer gold.
intrinsically, you know, the value of the piece. I was looking at this Queen Midas, which was super chunky. It was like the rare model, the chunky one. It's hard to price something like this,
Right.
especially with diamond. You don't see them. So the first thing is let's put it on the scale. Let's start from. So it already was like $10,500 just the gold.
Right.
And then, okay, the Rolex, the chunky, so we're reaching an offer of 13,000.
There's 5%, there's 5%.
Yeah. So it makes you, like, if you have to offer blindly like that.
Right.
So it's easy with the gold weight, that's the starting point
And
always.
do you have
for me.
any idea where this watch is in terms of production, 60s, 70s, 80s?
I've sold
I'd
a
assume
bunch of
70s,
those.
maybe
I've sold a
80s?
bunch of these peacock ones, but this one with this bracelet I've never seen, but they're all from the 70s, not
Okay.
the 80s.
Okay, interesting.
I love it.
With the increase in gold, I mean, where the gold prices are historically at their highest they've
Yes.
ever been, do you think that that's pushing people towards more vintage pieces, where the price of gold is, I mean, the old one anyway, so like old gold essentially watches, which are more reasonable?
I think people are more inclined now to buy them, especially for the gold value, and it's a good way to store their wealth, you know, within the gold nugget here on the watch.
Yeah, at least, at the very least, like, even if the watch falls out of fashion, like, no one wants to buy a Piaget.
Or if you ever need, God forbid,
Yeah.
it always has that intrinsic gold value. That's why, if you notice,
All precious
there is not one steel watch in any of my trades. They're all precious metal. I start from that point. I don't sell an investment, but I sell some sort of a enjoyable asset.
Okay, what's that in your hand right there?
This is a Piaget Emperador that weighs 210 grams.
Yeah, that's heavy. Wow. Oh my God. Jeez.
Hunk of gold.
That's a brick on your wrist. Hold that. That's heavy.
I like
Of
it.
course you do. Yeah, I don't like having
I
head
love how
on.
he pointed out the weight like Scarface, though. He's like 210 grams.
What else comes with that watch? So what's the model called?
Emperador.
Yeah, I'm getting a contact high.
Wow. Yeah, you have to be on some serious drugs.
These are all watches for the club.
Yeah.
As I say in my videos, for the
Studio 54
for the
is reopening?
discotheque.
Studio 54 is making a comeback.
Yeah. So we move on from Piaget and CORUM watches to our more mainstream brands. We have some Pateks in here, VC, Cartier, I see, AP,
My favorite has to be this one.
Disco Volante.
Disco Volante in
Let's
white
talk about
gold.
this. I like this case, but let's talk about that first.
This is my favorite because it's literally a flying saucer on your wrist. No one ever did a watch this thin and this intricate of a design on a dial.
Well, now everybody's competing to make the thinnest watch possible. I
Yes.
don't know why. I think after this, it'll just be like a piece of paper that's on your wrist, or like an NFT or something, and like that's the thinnest watch. Like, wait, what? Do I have anything on my wrist? Yeah, I've always admired AP for making this watch. And there's a lot of cool different like designs, like co-signatures that are on these models, and they're hard to find and hard to find nice.
Hard to find in a nice condition because they're not so waterproof and a lot of humidity would seep in and the dials would deteriorate.
Yeah, what's the going rate for a watch like this, white gold AP?
This one we have it priced at 11.5, which is like a super rare watch in overall nice conditions with a desirable dial.
Nice, beautiful. But tell me about this guy right here. This is a funky case.
This is a 1950s Audemars Piguet with flexible lugs.
Lugs. I was just gonna say that is absolutely awesome. Such a cool watch. Where does one find something like this? Is this an Italian pickup as well?
This is a
Italians have the most style.
pickup from an Italian collector indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remind me, why is it that you speak? Were born in Italy?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised in Italy.
Milano.
Where in Italy?
Milano.
Milano? This
Yeah,
is like the
which is
fashion
the
capital.
fashion capital and I guess the vintage watch capital of at least Italy. I would say.
Is it?
Brought the taste.
More so than like Rome or anything?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's also it.
Milano has a long-standing history of watch collectors and not forget watch collecting. When these watches were sold in the day,
Right.
they were sold primarily in like cities like, especially Milan, with all the big retailers, Berga, Gobbi, Pisa, etc. So
It was all in the north, the money, I feel like.
Yeah.
It was like you had Milan, Torino, and Bologna.
yes, all industrialists, all
the northern
finance people. These were the people with sophistication in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. So they're buying these watches, and this is where you find the watches today from those estates.
How old were you when you moved to the United States?
22.
Oh, wow. So you were like already, a full-fledged adult.
Yes.
Why did you decide to move to the United States? Work?
Because work. Because at the time in the early 2000s, Italy wasn't doing very well, and as a young guy, I was putting a lot of effort but not getting a lot of results.
Right.
And I had a lot of energy, and I had an opportunity with my aunt in America to work for her in the jewelry company. And I started from there slowly.
Immediately into New York City?
Immediately, she bought me the ticket because I couldn't afford the ticket, and she hosted me in her house for 3 months, and the office was here 1 block away, and I was their sales rep for 6 years selling like precious stones. I came with $100 in my pocket, literally. My dad said, here's $100, here's the ticket she bought you, ciao. And I said ciao, and never to come back, and like,
That's awesome. And so you found your calling of watches and your passion for watches through working through jewelry for your aunt.
Yes, and then I pursued another career with the custom tailored suits, where I picked up a lot of private clients and met a lot of people, and I decided to combine the style business and the jewelry business. It became the vintage watches 11 years ago, and I've always focused on the stuff that I personally like. That's, as you know me, it's always been a little different. I never quite saw what was popular at the time. I saw what I liked. Then at the time I liked the Nolliuses before everyone liked them, the Royal Oaks, and it became slowly more popular. And I got priced out and had to look at other venues. That's how my business evolved and progressed.
I mean, you're absolutely a trendsetter in the sense that there is very few other dealers where you could go to see such a wide variety of unique pieces. And these are just 2 of the trays that he has, and there's a bunch of others. It's going to be like a 4-hour video. And as always, we will link his information in the description below to go to his website, go to his Instagram, and take a look at all these other pieces. Before we get out of your hair, let's pull out a few more watches to show. Pick your 3 favorite of the leftover watches. Dealer's choice. Pun intended.
My favorite about the tray would be this crazy Vacheron Constantin. I love the tonneau shape case, classic of the 1970s, but I particularly love the stone dial, which you don't find on the classic Audemars Piguet, Vacheron, and Patek, and when you do find it, it's quite a rare trove. This is a Tiger Eye automatic. I love this watch. The stone is exceptional.
And it's a good size too.
Yes.
It has good presence on the wrist.
And that movement, the automatic movement used by Patek and Audemars, is one of my staples that I always carry in my collections in different iterations. This cushion automatic, which is a classic watch that anybody can relate to. If you need a gold watch, you want a dress watch in your collection and start somewhere, I would say this is the watch to start.
There are such crazy bargains for these kind of watches.
Crazy bargains.
Because they're not a Royal Oak, they're not this, they're not that, but they're a great size. Even Kendrick Lamar is a very similar watch to this. Like, you don't have to break the bank to buy an AP and like a nice vintage watch,
In gold, automatic, with a nice size.
How much are you asking for this watch?
This one we're asking $58.50.
That's my point exactly. And it's an Audemars Piguet.
Yes.
Say what you will, that's the cost of a Datejust. I'd rather have something like this where it's a little bit unique. The size is great.
You can change the strap.
Yeah.
Black, green, brown, and you're always good.
Yeah, it's a more dressy watch. Sure, it's maybe not for every single occasion, but it almost kind of could be.
It could be the only watch you own.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more we got for us.
Lastly, I love this deco so-called brick tank from Vacheron also. This one is from the 1940s. I love the numerals and the match with the
Does that remind you of anything? So actually, we just bought together because we didn't want to bid against each other in anti-quorum auction. Did you see that platinum?
In Geneva?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. It's the same case.
Same case.
Yes.
Yeah, same case. And, we were trying to guess what the watches would sell for in auction in prices, and that was one of the watches of the 10 that we guessed. And I literally in the video put it on my wrist, and while I was looking down on my wrist, I'm like, this is coming home.
Perfect.
I didn't say it out loud, but I'm like, this is coming home. And it is. It is absolutely coming home. It will not be for sale.
You're keeping that?
I'm keeping it for a while. Yeah. I have to wear and enjoy it. I just fell in love with the watch, and this has a very similar feel to that. Absolutely.
It's nice to still get that feeling after,
Yes, to be excited and love something.
And I think I could discover a new vintage watch every single day until I'm not here anymore, and I would still have a lot to see and a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the older generations like Auto Montanari, John Goldberger.
Yes.
And you know, you still look at the way he approaches watches, and he's still fascinated by stuff and curious and wanting to learn more and excited, you know, and a lot of older collectors who are the same way. Like they're getting a new piece and they're still excited by it. They're still involved. Like you can imagine after 30, 40 years of collecting, they'd probably be like checked out by now because you've seen and done everything, but they're not. You know,
my
they're still
favorite client,
into it.
my favorite client and
You know what you're gonna
collector. No, I'm not gonna say the name. My favorite client and collector.
Or than R?
No,
Yeah.
he's an older guy, and
Okay.
he keeps alive through the emotions that these watches give him, the discovery, the research, the buying, the selling. It gives you passion and emotion, and that's what keeps you alive
Yep.
for 120 years, hopefully.
Hey, God bless. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I love the new selection of stuff since the last time we visited.
Thank you, Adam and Sacha.
Always something different.
Always something different.
Great.
Yeah.
We have more if you like. Going to be here for a bunch of hours.
When we turn off the cameras, we'll look at a few more watches before we leave. Guys, as always, check the description in the video below to get Gai's information. Absolutely hit him up. He's got a great team of people here who can also help. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, brother. Don't do this every time. I don't have time to waste. Thank you.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Every time the same story, like excuses, save me $100. Like, don't take the watch F off. Like, you can't.
I love you.